Presumably the really bad advice was the Queen being advised that Harry and Meghan being part-time royals representing the Queen whilst, at the same time, pursuing personal wealth wouldn't work. Also the advice to remove his honorary military positions and royal patronages. Harry fails, even now, to see why these steps were necessary, that his representation of the Queen would conflict with his private endeavors to fund the celebrity lifestyle so necessary to his wife. Time has proven the Queen was wise to be cautious. I believe she hoped that the Sussexes would conduct themselves in such a manner as to enable the reinstatement of Harry's status, but his actions just underlined that her advisers were right in their assessments. Harry wants all the kudos of being born royal, but none of the work. He has chosen to go down the route of selling his title to the highest bidders, to become the puppet of his wife, Netflix, and better up, the performing chimp, so to speak. He is perpetually miserable because he recognizes that he no longer has the respect afforded him, as a given right, in his life as a working royal. People no longer bow or courtesy to him and his wife, he has to deliver rather than receive. He is no longer sought after, he is uniquely finding that not all doors are open to him, not all leaders want to speak to him, where once he only had to voice an interest and doors were thrown wide to accommodate him. Poor Harry was pressured by his own insecurities to give in to pressure from his wife, to abandon his life as a much-loved and valued member of the royal family, and now too late, recalls the maxim, act in haste. The grass really hasn't proven to be greener for him, though his wife has found it not greener but certainly more golden. The Duke of Sussex has previously hit out at the men in grey suits who work behind the scenes for members of the royal family. But respected royal journalist Valentine Lowe has penned new book Courtiers, which has seen him speak to a number of palace aides. He's blaming it on the aides, but the Queen is unquestionably able to override anything, and if she'd wanted to see them then the aides would not be able to stop it. Suke it up, horrid Henry, your grandmother didn't want to see you. He is trying to bully the Queen, and those around her who truly care for her will stop that whether this idiot likes it or not. This is coming from the arch-bully he married. He is in the US now and I sincerely hope he stays there. He is of no use or value to the crown or the country whatsoever. Royal commentator Richard Eden said royal courtiers were not trusted by Princess Diana and are figures that have been really pilloried by Harry and Meghan, but Mr. Eden suggested that Mr. Lowe's book may give a different side of things. Speaking on the Mail Plus talk show Palace Confidential, Mr. Eden said, "They've always seen them as this negative force in the background. Everything is always blamed on them. Perhaps this book will give a different side of things." The Mail on Sunday's assistant editor Kate Mansi added, "I think there is a slight apprehension they'd like being the faceless people behind the scenes pulling the levers. The Queen aides are protecting her from Harry and his wife. And they were right. The pair insulted the Queen multiple times, went for the jugular in that interview, and did not care her husband was very sick. They opted out of spending Christmas with the royals to go to Canada to hatch their Megxit plan. They wanted to meet the Queen, not spend time with her, but to convince her to let them have half in half out, like when they came to see her to ask for a balcony appearance." Harry, who is releasing his own tell-all memoir later this year, lashed out at courtiers in his and Meghan Markle's Oprah Winfrey interview in March 2021. The Duke said 2 days before they announced their Megxit plans in January 2020 he was stopped from visiting the Queen after returning from their stay in Canada. Harry told the U.S. talk show host, "To then get back after my grandmother had said, the moment you land come up to Sandringham, we'd love to have a chat, come for tea, why don't you stay for dinner because it's going to be a long drive and you're going to be exhausted?" The moment we landed in the UK, I got a message from my private secretary cutting and pasting a message from the Queen's private secretary basically saying, please pass along to the Duke and Duchess of Sussex that he cannot come to Norfolk, the Queen is busy, she's busy all week. So I rang her from Frogmore that night and said, I was thinking about coming anyway but I hear you are now busy. And she said, yes, there's something in my diary that I didn't know I had, and I said, well, what about the rest of the week? And she goes, well, that's busy now as well. I didn't want to push as I kind of knew what was going on. The U.S. talk show host replied, but doesn't the Queen get to do what the Queen wants to do? If the Queen wished to see them she would phone them herself, I've seen her work a phone. Nobody would say no to her. As the men in grey suits obviously know what the pair are up to and that isn't what HM want, they want secrecy. The Queen spoke to him herself and was busy, that should have been good enough. Apparently not, so he goes spouting off about a private conversation because in his delusion world not to mention Mimimi, they are victims. Actions have consequences and any consortium who get involved with this pair will live to rue the day. In a dig at royal courtiers, Harry said, when you're head of the firm, there are people around you that give you advice. And what has also made me really sad is that some of that advice has been really bad. It comes as Harry and Meghan are living in California after quitting royal duties in March 2020. In a dig at royal courtiers, Harry said, when you're head of the firm, there are people around you that give you advice, and what has also made me really sad is that some of that advice has been really bad. In your eyes, the advice was bad because you didn't get your way. In the RF and the British public's interest, the advice was gold. Well done to the men in grey. I think the Queen is savvy enough to differentiate between good and bad advice. Harry. Is that like the conversation Harry had with the Queen, where he said he asked for permission to call his daughter Lilibet? Which the Queen denied. The Queen stated that she was told after the event and not asked. She has been Queen for 70 years, so knows what she is talking about. The truth is that Harry lies. Just like he lied about Meghan making Kate cry, he lied about his father cutting him off financially, and they lied about getting married in the backyard. And they lied about racist comments. Harry throws allegations out that he is concerned about the courtiers bringing harm to the Queen by giving her bad advice. Wasn't it he and his wife who attempted to bring down the monarchy on international television and radio broadcasts? Harry, you are despicable. Your grandma deserves peace at the end of her life. You should be filling the big gap your grandpa left with your love, not you and your wife's lies. A monarchy is a well-oiled machine. It doesn't suffer petulant middle-aged children like the Markles. It doesn't matter how many stuffed toys Dimwit throws out of his chicken coop, or how often he stamps his feet, they have more dirt on him than he can shake a stick at. He's already irrelevant. Without his peerage, and style as prince, hell not even get a sideways glance from a road sweeper in the USA, or anywhere else he ends up living. It is so funny to watch a self-entitled nobody self-destruct in public. More PR from HM. Doesn't he get the message that their actions have tried to damage the monarchy, his grandmother, our beloved Queen, and frankly she's had enough of this awful odious pair? He abandoned his senior role and because of his indiscretions is no longer regarded as a member of the royal family who can be privy to and maintain confidentiality. The trust between HM the monarchy no longer exists as demonstrated by the seating arrangements at the Abbey for the Queen's Jubilee service.